The 11th individual Legal Court is now back in session. General John the Infantry is now presiding.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Please take your seats. I need to get some clarification on the JOA motions, mainly because I seem to be missing a sheet of my notes. So I figured that we could do that while we were waiting for the jury to be brought down. And basically the questions are to the state. On the felony murder count, you all want to be able to travel on criminal mischief and theft in addition to the aggravated battery, which I've already denied. Am my notes correct, or
Yes, the felony murder with the aggravated child abuse is first-degree felony murder. We're asking for an additional, the lesser, the third-degree felony murder instruction with the underlying felonies being criminal mischief and grand theft.
That goes to the third-degree question.
That goes to the third-degree question. And with respect to count 3, we're withdrawing our request for lessers on count 3, which is the burglary count, as long as the indictment, which I think we had an agreement that the indictment wasn't going back to the jury.
Right.
And then, in light of Delgado, Judge, in light of...
One second. Frank, you may as well. Okay, go ahead.
So with respect to count 3, which is the burglary that stands by itself, in light of Delgado...
Is it okay if I get Mr. O'Donnell in now?
Yeah, now you can get Mr. O'Donnell. All right, so for purposes then of clarification, the only thing then the court needs to rule on, as I understand it, is the third-degree felony murder and the basis on which it travels to the jury, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And based on the cases that we gave you yesterday in Arlington and Green, we feel that that's...
I understand what your argument is. I'm in the process of reviewing it, okay? But I needed to have that clarification. Actually, you took care of the clarification by now processing. Okay?
No, I just had it out there for the...
All right, as soon as we find out what the story is as far as with the jury, we'll be able to proceed. Record should reflect that Mr. Billy is present, if I didn't say that, along with his counsel. And you have some witnesses outside?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. President? Juan?
Yes, sir. Well, sir.
never had the opportunity to depose them, although I certainly tried to do that in federal and tribal court. And the state objects to them sitting in during the trial now. We're about to have testimony from Buffalo Tiger, I understand, who's one of the elders of the tribe. I don't have a clue what he's here to say. SHEILA Tiger again. I don't know what she's going to say, but they would be here for that testimony. The defendant's going to testify this afternoon, and I'm asking that they be asked to wait outside of the courtroom.
What's the basis for your, if they're taking them off the witness list and
Well,
you're
then
not planning on calling
I'm
them?
listing them.
I'm sorry?
Then I'm listing them.
You know, that's just mean and spiteful.
It's mean and
You know,
spiteful for them to show up all of a sudden in the middle of the trial, like the 3 photographs you just gave me.
They love their son. You're trying
Excuse
to kill
me.
him, and they want to be here and watch the
Mr.
proceedings.
O'Donnell,
Yesterday.
let's stop, okay? It is a little bit, shall we say, surprising, and leave it at that.
Judge, this is their son who's on trial. They are not going to testify as witnesses. They don't want to be part of these proceedings, but they certainly want to be here and watch their son in the most dire hour of his life when he takes the witness stand in defense of his own life. What, are they treated as second-class citizens because they're MICCOSUKEEs and asserted their rights through their tribal chairman? I hope that's not happening in an American court, and I can't believe a prosecutor could be that spiteful to do that to a mother and a father when they want to come to court, an American court of law, and sit and watch. It's a public trial. There is no basis to exclude them. And, you know, I'm getting a little tired of Mr. Rubin's whining. I've shut up pretty good. You know, Saturday, I went out with my investigator after Detective Fierro and some others testified. And I looked at the scene, and we took some photographs. I took a photograph on Saturday of the only other available opening, which is 71 feet to the west of the area that the car went in. I also took some photographs of an area that has no significance to the state. They've never been there. They don't know what it means. They'll find out during testimony. My investigator had these available late last night. I said, please don't bother. I'll pick them up this morning. Sometime after 10 o'clock this morning, I picked these photographs up and I showed them to Mr. Rubin. Now, these snide and whining comments go nowhere. Better late than never, just like he gave me photographs today, like I've been holding them. They were taken on Saturday. I got them this morning. The only other person I showed them to before Mr. Rubin was my client, as I would do under any other circumstances. Now, I think this whining has gotten to the point where, you know, it's unprofessional, and it's like, oh, nobody's being fair to us. And I'm upset that an American prosecutor would try to exclude a mother and father from the trial of their son, who's on trial for his life, for no good reason other than to spite him, because the federal government and the state government's nose got tweaked by a little nation called the MICCOSUKEEs. And that's all this is all about. And it's wrong, and it's not the American way, and it ought to stop right here.
Judge, he's just trying to bait you. He knows that these two people, he's trying to play the race card, the Indian card, which he tried to do, you know, when we were talking about the admissibility of Marcus Billie's age, and sometimes it was important to him, and sometimes it was not important to him. He knows very well, firstly, that these people were people that the defendant spoke with on the very night that he was responsible for the drowning death of his children. He knows that. He's been talking about his father vaguely off and on for a long time, it seems to me, in various cross-examination. And for them to show up today, of all days, when they haven't been here before, when he knows very well that the state has been in state and federal court trying to get an opportunity to talk to these people for a long time, is misleading to the court that they're suddenly here.
Judge, did you hear me say we have any intention to call these people? Now, that would be wrong. If we were intending to call them, we'd say, take their deposition. They have nothing to add here. Their witnesses are the ones that introduced Wayne Billie into this case, time after time after time. He was brought to he came to the holding cell. He was taken to the scene with Officer Roman in the police car. He talked to his son. All of that's in. This man has nothing to add. He speaks MICCOSUKEE as his first language. Yes, he can speak English. Is it his language of choice? No. But what are we talking about, race cards and all of that? You know, too much television maybe is here. I don't know what he's talking about when he says something like that. These are parents. Their son is on trial for his life. They are not witnesses. Their son has a right to a public trial under the Constitution of this United States. They want to be there, and there's no reason to exclude them. We're not taking advantage, playing games, or anything like this. They're here because they want to be. They don't want to be part of these proceedings and have never wanted to be. But when their son is going to testify, they want to be here to show support for him, and as any other parent that loved their son would do. And that's all it's about. And that's not about race or baiting you. And the only reason he picks up on things that you say, Your Honor. You told him, oh, Mr. O'Donnell's baiting you. I'm not baiting him. You know, that's the way you saw it. Now he takes a word that you use, your choice of words, and says, I'm doing it to you. I'm telling you what's coming from my heart and my head. I don't like what I hear coming from that side of the table over there. And you know, when you start hiding behind reasons, and your real reason is meanness and spite, then you've got to reevaluate your situation. And that's all it is. And that's not a bait, that's realism.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Well, there's no meanness or spite. This is business. And this is the business. I want to take these people's statements. I'd like to have an opportunity to do that. I can do that tomorrow morning. We can have him testify. The defendant can testify in the afternoon, and we can readdress it after their statements. I've been trying to have an opportunity to talk with these people, as this court very well knows, for months, and I haven't had the opportunity to do that. Well, now they're here, when I haven't been able to have an opportunity to serve them before. Although I tried to have access through the chairman, I tried to have access through the tribal court, I tried to have access through federal court. Now I have an opportunity. They were both back in the holding cell with him the evening that the victims were killed in this case, and I want an opportunity to speak with them to make a determination at the very least about whether or not I might wish to call them before they're permitted to sit in the courtroom during his testimony.
You know, Judge, the state picks and chooses who they want to arrest and have you sign material witness bonds on. We all know that the MICCOSUKEEs are not a self-sustaining nation. They come off that reservation on a daily basis. They used Woody Brooks, a man on their staff who knows and can identify people by sight. They used cell telephone records to find out when and where SHEILA Tiger would be off the reservation, and they arrested her. Now, if these people were so important to them, they could have done that. If Melody Osceola, who they've been crying about the whole trial, was so important to them, they could have done that. But they haven't. And this is all subterfuge. They've rested their case. They've never made a proffer that they're only resting under these conditions. Had we been able to do this, had we been able to do this, we would have called these witnesses. No such proffer was made because there's no good faith basis for it. And it's nothing but gamesmanship. And it's a mean-spirited sort of gamesmanship that doesn't belong in an American court of law.
I hate to go around in a circle, but the possible significance of their testimony should be apparent to anyone with any experience.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Yes, Your Honor.
The court is faced with a difficult situation here. While I certainly am glad to see that Mr. and Mrs. Billie have come forth and want to support their son, the simple fact of the matter is that they have relevant testimony that the state may be able to use or may want to use in a rebuttal case. If that's the situation, it would be improper for them to be present during their son's testimony. I feel for them.
I know that you do.
I feel for them, and certainly am most supportive when any parent comes into court when a child, no matter how old the child might be, is on trial.
Judge, your position is unfettered in this. You're the man who, on his own, had SHEILA Tiger taken to a hotel because you didn't think it was proper that she be held in the jail. So I know how you feel in this situation. None of my comments were in any way directed towards you, and you know that.
I'm not taking it as being directed towards me, and I don't think that you should, by the same token, I don't think that you should take a shot at the state in light of the history of this case and what has gone on in this case in terms of the testimony, of obtaining the testimony of these individuals.
Well,
Mr. Rubin has a position. He has stated his position. If he wants to take their depositions, I don't know how he's going to go about doing that unless he's got a process server sitting outside the door right this second, or unless you want to supply them or they want to voluntarily come forth and give their depositions.
Well, the trial attorney, the attorney for the witnesses is here, Mr. Diaz, he'll decide what wants to be done. As I understand it, what Mr. Rubin wants to do is delay the defendant. The defendant would ordinarily testify today. I think we all know that. Is delay the defendant's testimony until after he takes Mr. and Mrs. Billie's deposition.
Well,
That's my understanding.
but if, let's just say that something comes forth from the deposition that he wants to use in a rebuttal case, you're not going to be able to be here anyway. Bottom line. If he takes their deposition, even if he takes their deposition at lunchtime today, and Mr. Billie goes on this afternoon, if Mr. Rubin, in good faith, says to this court he wants to call him during his rebuttal case, assuming that he can get them to come back
He will.
through an agreement.
Believe me, he will.
Well, assuming that, then...
Not because there'll be a good faith basis for it, because he doesn't want him in the courtroom.
Well-
You say don't take a shot. I'm speaking my mind. I'm speaking my heart. And Mr. Rubin the other day said something about 20 years. I've been doing this over 30 years, and I know why this is being done.
Well, I hope you're wrong, Mr.
I
O'Donnell.
wish I was wrong, but
I hope you're wrong, Mr. O'Donnell, okay? I hope you're wrong.
I have seen this done
Okay.
so many times in other situations where everybody accommodates people. This is being done despite not just Mr. and Mrs. Billie, but their little tiny nation that had the guts to stand up to a big bully government
Well.
and win.
Excuse me, Mr. O'Donnell.
Now, what could be more obvious than
Mr. O'Donnell, that's a little bit of grandstanding on your part, sir.
That's
Okay.
how I feel.
Okay.
I can only speak my mind and my heart.
Excuse me, Mr. O'Donnell, the state of Florida went to the MICCOSUKEE...
Not the state of Florida, the federal government. Okay.
I'm talking about the state of Florida through the state attorney's office, went to the MICCOSUKEE Nation and asked for comity with regard to the witness question, okay? Did so in a professional fashion and was declined. They have their right to decline that request on the part of the state of Florida. By the same token, they did not come forth voluntarily. The witnesses themselves did not come forth voluntarily. They have that, apparently because they're not served, they don't have to come testify.
That's true.
Okay? So basically, we're stuck in a situation where there is no resolution that's going to make everybody happy. And if Mr. Rubin indeed wants to call these folks as possible rebuttal witnesses, I have no choice but to exclude them.
Let's not rewrite history. In 1997, the chairman of the MICCOSUKEE tribe wrote a letter to the state attorney in this circuit that went unresponded to, ignored for 3.5 years, until they felt like, well, now let's go deal with these little people and tell them the way we want to handle this case. That's what happened.
Mr. Donald, I'm not going to get into the inner workings of the state attorney's office. All I can tell you is what I know has happened since August of the year 2000, when Mr. Rubin came into the case. Okay? What happened before that, you can't blame on Mr. Rubin. Okay?
I've said what
You can't lay it at his feet. All right, I have to exclude them, folks, and let's get going. I have to exclude them. Mr. and Mrs. Billie, I'm sorry.
I understand why, Your Honor.
Judge, if we're not going to get to the defendant today because of this issue, we'll try and take their deposition this afternoon while they're here.
No, we intend to put the defendant on today. No reason to delay his testimony.
The court needs to proceed with this case, okay?
It's not clear as to what it is. He wanted you to instruct him. He wants to know
Mr.
that it's
Billie.
coming from the court. This is Wayne Billie, this is Judge FRATEL.
Good morning, sir. And the lady is Mrs., who's the lady?
That's not Mrs. Billie.
That's okay. Yeah, I thought
She's
the mother, I
outside.
thought mother was here also.
She's outside.
All right. Mr. Billie, the mother's here? Yes. The state has said that they want to talk to you with regard to the case, and that they may call you in the case. You're shaking your head no, sir. Are you understanding me, or are you shaking your head because you're saying that you don't want to talk to the state? I'm sorry, I don't understand. You're shaking your head.
Judge, if I may,
Yes,
can I speak to Mr. and Mrs. Billie outside?
if you would, please.
Thank you.
Try to explain it to him. Mr. Diaz, the court thanks you.
Judge, if the jury's outside, I'll take him out to the question.
If you would, that's fine. Come on, just keep going and bring the jury in. Is the lady here? Let's bring the jury in before something else happens.
Ready? All right, please.
You almost think you own those seats. Let's be seated, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to the members of our jury. Let me apologize to you for our tardiness. Let me just ask the questions. Anybody see TV last night? Anybody read the newspaper last night? Anybody listen to the radio last night? All right, jury, you all would just raise your hand. Anybody violate any of the admonitions from the court? Okay. I hate to put it like that. And I know that you wouldn't do that. And I appreciate your cooperation in not doing so. You didn't talk about the case amongst yourselves, did you? And you haven't talked with any family members or friends about the case either. All right. Court satisfied. Great jury. Thank you. Let's proceed.
Your Honor, at this time, the defense would call Buffalo Tiger.
You affirm that the evidence you're about to give be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, you can have a seat right here.
Go ahead, Ms. Ward.
Good morning. Could you tell the